Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. Today we're going to look at the Mathews Triax. This bow was new for 2018. It's still in the 2019 lineup. This is a short 28-inch axle bow. Shoots at 343 feet per second with a 6-inch brace height. I can't remember what the spec of the weight was, but I weighed it with the sight and whisker biscuit on a scale before I came out here, and it weighed 4.98, almost 5 physical pounds. The draw length is adjustable by modules. So you have to buy modules to go on here, and those two little screws there. You do not need a bow press to fit new modules, but if you want to change the draw length, you need to purchase new modules. Now, purchasing modules for a Mathews or for any bow is a pain because you've got to buy them. It's a bit of a pain for the store also, because let's say you stock this bow in a 29 inches and someone comes in and they're 28.5, it means you need to have a 28.5 inch module in stock to be able to sell that bow. And when you only sell a few of these bows, it's very hard to stock the entire range of modules. So that's one of the major problems I have with selling bows which are modular based, because you need to stock the range of modules for the bow. And with Mathews, the modules are specific to that model. So it's not like this module fits all the entire range of Mathews bows. If it did, it'd be fantastic. It's not the case. You've got to buy the one for this bow. It's also hard for the salespeople in the stores working it, because you've got to know what module you need for that bow. So you've got to look it up on a specs chart. You've got to then find what size module you need to try. And often when you've got customers in the store, you don't know if they're 28 or 28.5. So you've got to fit the module, and it all takes time to find the module and fit a module. Or if you don't have the module, you can't sell the bow. So that's the first thing. Now, 28 inches axle, these are short hunting bows. They're generally used by people who want to put them in a backpack for walking around the bush, people shooting from tree stands. They're the people who are going to look at this bow. Now, when this bow was first released, Mathews had a lot of the top shooters shooting this bow and doing shots at 70 meters with this bow and shooting incredible groups. And they were so incredible, it made me wonder, what are they going to be shooting this bow in competition? But of course, being 28 inches axle, no one shot this bow in competition. So, I mean, it was nice seeing the shooters shoot it, but they were shooting it so well, it was almost unbelievable to me. And maybe this bow does shoot that well, and it'd be part of this review to see how well I shoot with this bow. Shorter axle bows tend to be more twitchy, and they tend to be harder to shoot than a longer axle bow. So you'll find most target shooters are shooting bows 40 inches, 38 inches, and 37 inches. 3D shooters are generally shooting 35 to 37 inch bows axle. What the shorter axle does is the distance from the D loop to the peep sight is increased on the shorter axle bows. So normally, let's say a normal bow would be 6 inches. On this bow, it may be 7 inches or even 7.5 inches. In fact, in the Halon, which was a 30-inch bow, the peep sight had to move right up the top of the serving, and it was very hard to fit a peep sight. So now this bow comes in a whole heap of different colors as far as camo finishes. Mathews Lost, which is what this is the most common of the Mathews camo. It also comes in a charcoal, grey color, and a black. The charcoal color will be a rough finish, and the black, I'm going to guess, is the smooth finish. It has metal limb pockets. Now, these limbs fit straight inside the limb pockets. These little things on the end of the limb is for the bow press, last chance bow press. It pushes against those. This also stops the limb from splitting if you dry fire the bow. It has a yoke system here which runs on roller bearings. Now, if you're going to replace the strings on this bow, you have to drop the entire wheel. Now, I'm going to say rebuilding these yoke systems, if you're building them yourself, is a pain, and my staff absolutely hate building yoke systems for the Mathews. The strings are alright, but the yoke system is a pain. So replacing the string systems on a Mathews takes longer than a normal bow. It doesn't take as long as a prime, but it's longer than a normal bow. So you're definitely you're gonna pay extra for a Mathews set of strings, I'm gonna guess, and you're gonna pay extra to fit them. So just bear that in mind. It may or may not be an issue for you. A normal set of strings is, let's say, $135 in my store. Other stores are obviously more expensive than that, but for a Mathews set, you're probably looking, I'm going to guess, 160, 165, and you're probably going to pay an extra $10 to fit it. So as long as the store knows it takes longer, it's not a problem. Okay, so the balance of this bow. You can see it's front heavy. Now to me, the weight of the bow, it feels heavier at the top than the bottom. So you can see the way the bow sits in your hand. It wants to kind of lean forward. And the bow, to me, like, I'm going to hold the bow there, you can see it tilts forward. So it feels very top heavy to me. I'll be interested to see how the bow shoots. It has one sight position there, so you can't move the sight up and down the riser. The riser feels very solid. It has a standard Mathews grip, which is a plastic grip. It does feel comfortable. It feels narrow, I'm going to say. So it's much more narrow than most bows on the market. Probably similar in width to a Hoyt, and it feels like it expands. So it feels narrow there, and it feels like it expands. It's not a bad looking grip. A lot of people replace the grips on the Mathews with aftermarket. Down here you've got a harmonic dampener, lower stabilizer position here for fitting stabilizers down low. I think with this bow I'd probably want to fit a stabilizer, but for the type of archer it's suited to, which is backpacking and tree stand, they're probably not going to fit stabilizers to this bow. So that's interesting. The cable slide is a roller slide, which is a fixed position. I've sold about 3 of these, 2 people in my shop, and the people who have brought them have been happy with them. But they're not, 28-inch bows are never big sellers. And top end bows, this is a top end bow. I think the price point on this is $1,450 in Australia, $1,450 in Australia, Australian dollars. Serial number in there. The graphics are nice with all Mathews. So now I'm going to say this is a 70-pound bow. I've wound it down to 60 pounds. So you'll see it's wound out just there. So if I get a speed lower on the chronograph than what you expect, the first person's going to say, oh, it's because you didn't buy a 60-pound bow. I had a 70-pound bow in stock to do a review on, so that's what I'm doing it on. Now when I was winding this bow down, I found that I think I wound it down 3 or 4 turns, and this bow dropped back to a 50-pound bow from 70. And literally it was half a turn to adjust the poundage by quite a range. And I'm going to guess there's not a lot of, you can see there's not a lot of compression on these limbs. So basically 1 turn in rotation on the limbs here made a big difference. So I'm going to guess, because I did it yesterday, I forgot how many turns it's got off on the limb bolts, but I'm going to guess it's about 2 to 3 turns to drop at 10 pounds. It was a lot of poundage adjustment for very few turns on limb bolts. So let's see how this bow draws. Now the first thing when you look at Ibo Speed's at 70 pounds, 30 inches with a very light arrow. The bows I always test are 60 pounds and they're 29 inches, and I shoot velocity arrow, which is 327 grains. It's got a 90 grain target point. The fastest bow I've shot has been a full throttle, 330 feet per second, which is a 370 feet per second bow. The bow I tested yesterday was a Vogue, which is a 324 feet per second bow, and that shot about 290. So this bow being a 243, I'm going to expect 310, maybe a little bit under that. But let's just have a shot with it first, and let's see how the bow physically feels in the draw cycle. So the first thing, when I'm trying to draw this, but when I'm starting to draw this bow back, the pressure, it feels like the bow is pulling back this way. Now you're going to say, why is that? Because this here should be in the center of the bow. So the grip, the center of the grip should be here, so it's down here, so that way it's pulling back. And what's happening, because this bow is very short, it's increasing the angle, so it creates more of the, it makes everything more extenuated, like makes everything bigger. So you'll notice it less on a longer axle bow, but it feels like it's pulling from the top. So to start with, the draw cycle, it's solid, but it doesn't feel that heavy to start with. Now it's getting heavy, so it starts off fairly solid, but then it's really built up, and it got to that point there where it actually hurt my shoulder. And this is a 60-pound bow. I shoot 60 pounds all day long for my target work. So there it's easy. Right there it's peaking, 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 starting to drop there. It's a very short valley, very, very short valley, and the let off feels very little. I'm going to take the shot. So the valley itself feels like that big, and the let off feels like about 60%. I don't know what it is, but it feels like 60%. It's probably, it'll say on the module. Now it says 85% let off. Now I shot the Evoke yesterday at 60 pounds, and I got back there and I was holding, literally it felt like nothing, and I was like, I can't let this thing down. I pull this thing back with 85% let off, and it feels like 60% let off. It feels like I'm holding like 30 pounds back here. Now the shot itself, when I actually shot that shot, it was quiet, there was no vibration. I don't know if you saw the bow felt like, in the hand, felt like I hadn't even shot the shot. It was an amazing bow to shoot as far as the actual execute. That was the first shot I've ever shot with this bow. But the shot itself felt amazing. Like there was nothing in the hand. Look at that. The bow kind of tilts across to the side a little bit when I shoot it. That's because the weight's at the top, so it's kind of doing that. But oh man, the feel of this bow is really good. The draw cycle is good because it's got these big cams, making it nice and easy to draw. Definitely doesn't feel like 80%. I'm going, you know, my first shot I said it feels like 60. I'm going to say it feels like 70% let off now. The second shot felt better than the first shot, and the third shot felt better than the second shot as far as the draw cycle. And I think when you're trying out new bows, the first shot you're always a bit wary with how the draw feels. It feels good. The draw cycle feels really good. So even at the close distance, I can see a little bit of this thing happening, and that's to do with the short axle bow, and it's a 6-inch brace height. So I suspect when I get back to 18, I'm going to be interested to see how it shoots, because I can already see, and I'm only at point blank distance, I can already see my sight pin moving a little bit left to right. But the physical shot itself, unbelievable. Like, and that's why people are making these bows heavy, because when you shoot the shot, it just feels fantastic. Like, it's quiet, there's no vibration, it just feels great. .302 feet per second. So the Evoke, which I shot yesterday, was a 324 feet per second bow. This bow is 12 feet per second faster, 320, 324, 330, 336 feet per second, 336 feet per second, rated at 342, so it's in the ballpark, right? It's So if I put the fast modules on the Evoke, and this isn't a review comparing the Evoke to this because this is a 28-inch bow. If I put the fast modules on the Evoke, it would be the same speed as this. I think the draw cycle would be similar between them. .298. Let's just shoot one more. The bow itself feels unbelievable to shoot, and Mathews make a really solid bow. And before I'm just going to take the shot, I'm going to show you. .296. Now with archery you get lots of derails, and that's where people torque the bow, so they're gripping the bow here, they're not holding the grip as they should, and they basically create torque on the grip as they point it. Now in all the derails I get, and I get about one a week, the bows are always 70 pounds. People have always maxed out the bows. They're always generally newbie archers. They're never people I've taught to shoot. In fact, people I've taught to shoot, I don't think anyone has ever derailed a bow. And I teach probably one person a day to shoot. So what you see here is a big groove in the cam. See how deep that string goes into that groove? Now the concept of that is it makes it hard for the string to pop out of these grooves. So that's the general reasoning for it, to try and decrease the chance of a derail. Now I'm going to raise this here because a customer asked me about that this week. This is a brand new bow, never been shot before. I physically put the D-loop on, so that's the first 6 shots this bow's ever had in its life. Now this bow's brand new. You can see the little fuzziness here on the string. That's perfectly normal. They're using a braid serving there, and that's just what this looks like. Will it be subject to wear? I don't know. But yeah, I sold a brand new one the other day, and the guy goes, "Oh, it looks like the string's got a bit of wear. You can see it's a bit fuzzy on the serving." That's how they look straight out of the box. You're gonna see the silence. So this is a monkey tail. I don't know if that's going to break eventually. Just there. And there, like monkey tails will break with time. They're very easy to put on. They're very easy to fit, but yeah, I don't know if they will break and how long you'll get out of them. But overall this bow feels really good. You've got the ability to fit a 2-piece Mathews quiver to it, which is, they're about $200. You can fit a Mathews QAD RRS to it, which is nice. You can get all matching camo to this. Lost is one of the main lines of camo in all the accessory lines, so to get matching accessories for this bow is not an issue at all. As far as stabilizers and all that, there's plenty of manufacturers out there who make matching stuff for this bow. So let's take this bow back to 18 and let's see how well I shoot with it at 18, which I think will be really interesting. 18 meters with Mathews Triax to try it out. Now I have sighted this bow in. I actually shot one round with it and I did hit the 10, so I just forgot to press play on the video recorder, so we had to do this again. So actually my first grip wasn't that bad. I had no left and right movement. I had some arrows high and some arrows low, but it wasn't bad. Better than I thought it would be. So let's see how this end goes. So I was saying I was getting a little bit of this happening in the wind. This shot was stabilizing. I was getting no left and right movement in my group. Now, it reminded me, I'll just shoot the shot. So I've got a friend in Victoria who shoots Mathews, loves Mathews. And he said you've got to, I'm going to get his quote wrong, but he said you've got to be rough with it, like pull it back hard against the stops. And my feeling is that that's what makes this bow rock solid. So that's what I'm trying. So I am pulling this back hard against the stops. I think it's getting rid of the left to right movements. I think if you just pull this back softly, you're going to feel a wobble or wobble left to right, is my feeling. Look, the wind, there's a very gentle breeze here. The wind is creating the sight pin to move left to right with a left to right, kind of looks like this. That's in the wind. Now my theory on the pin moving left to right, for whatever my theory is worth, my theory is that a longer brace height, you get less left to right movement in the sight pin, and that's because the gap's bigger here. So if you had a really big gap, you'd have less movement left to right. The bow would be slower, but you get less left to right movement in the sight pin. Now with the shorter axle bows, you're getting a more acute angle here in the face. You can see it's touching my nose, but it feels like it's coming back longer here than I'd expect with my target bows I normally shoot. So for me, this bow's feeling too long in the draw cycle. So I'd either want to try 28.5 or 28. And that is one of the problems with buying a modular style bow. If you want to try a different draw length to say, well, does this feel more comfortable, you're going to have to fork out the $80 for the set of modules and just try it. And you don't know which modules to buy. Do you buy the 28.5 or do you buy the 28s? So you might be up for $160 to say, no, actually 29 is actually better. But if you're spending $1,450 on a bow, which is what this sells for in Australia at my store, you're probably not worried about $160 for a set of modules, because you're probably not on a budget anyway, right? Probably money's not too much of an issue for you. Look, the bow feels fantastic to shoot. It doesn't feel like as far as the way the bow physically feels to draw and to shoot, there's no vibration in it, there's no noise. It feels like a slow bow to shoot. It doesn't feel like a fast bow. Now I'm not a fan of 28-inch bows, axle. I have owned them before, and I generally sell them because for hunting I feel more comfortable with 31 inches axle. I find it's more forgiving, and for target, if I was looking for accuracy, I find 35 plus in axle more forgiving for me to shoot. Now, I can't see my arrows down there, or I sort of can, they look terrible. The group down there looks absolutely horrible. Now, I can honestly say every one of those shots has been released on the 10, except for the one which was released slow. It was a 910. There is a bit of wind. Geez, did I miss? at like 5 o'clock in the fall. That's just terrible. Look, the shots feel great. They're coming off feeling really, really good. The shots are feeling confident. Like I said, the draw length feels too long for me. I feel like I want to be forward. I feel like my shoulder's too far back. But it's not creating the variance which I think I'm seeing down there at this distance. So my summary of bows that shoot well are bows with a 7-inch brace height or close to it, smooth draw cycle, lighter, well balanced, I generally shoot really good with those. I shot really well with the drive, like incredibly well with it, more than I thought, but it had a bigger brace height. My grouping down there looks horrible, so Australian flies. I don't know if you get flies in America. It's one of the bad things about Australia, we get flies. And I'm right near the beach here, and it's actually not too bad because the flies, the wind's coming in from the ocean, and the flies are obviously not on the ocean. Okay, that knock broke when I shot, cracked in two. I think you can see the arrow in the target, but the knock was obviously cracked or something. The energy went straight, the arrow went straight in the target still. That's when you dry fire your bow, when the knock's cracked and the arrow just drops on the ground. But obviously a fair bit of that power went straight through still to the arrow, because the knock's halfway between the, 3/4 of the way on the ground. But it was a bit scary. So let's go and have a look where those arrows are, and we'll see. I mean, the arrow felt good on the knock felt good on the string. You can normally tell a cracked knock when you knock it on the string, so it might have had a crack from one of my previous shots I made, but I didn't see it. So let's go and have a look. Okay, so I'm up here at the target. Now this is the one with the broken knock. The pin is intact, so the pin has been struck before. You can see a little mark on it just there, but I assume the knock was just broken in some way. This arrow here, that's a horrible shot. I don't know what happened with that one. I can't remember shooting that shot that bad. That's just, it's horrible. I'd love to blame the arrow, but there's nothing wrong with the arrow. Now this group up here, look, it's left to right. I am getting a bit of left and right movement, up and down, so that gap, and it's probably pretty much around there. I'm not getting any real tight groups with it. Now what that means is basically I was struggling with that bow to shoot it. As I said, there is a bit of wind around today, but it's not bad, and the shots actually felt good. The draw length felt too long for me. I didn't feel like I was getting my back tension in correctly. Now I did shoot one end before this where I thought I was filming it, and I had actually two grips. I had one grip down here and I had one grip up here in the up where these arrows are. I had one grip down here in the 10s. So I think that's probably fair. That grip there is probably a fair indication of how well I shoot with that bow. So what this bow to me is, the Triax 28. Now I'm going to say did I see Levi Morgan shoot this bow? Jesse Broadwater maybe. And they were shooting 70 meters and shooting like groups like this. And when I see videos like that and see people shooting like that, it's not real. And Jesse would say, yeah, I shoot that all the time. Well, I don't think you do. Because at a world championship, if you could shoot like that, you'd be shooting this bow at a world championship. I think when I see people shoot groups that are amazing at 70 meters that are the size of that, I mean, in my lifetime, and I've been shooting since I was 12, and I've shot with world champions. Yeah, I've shot some good groups before, but you generally need all the stuff on your bow. You need a good day, it needs to be no wind, but it's not like that. It's realistic. To me, this is realistic for the Triax. The Triax is a short axle bow, 6-inch brace height, which is not unforgiving, but it's not like a 7-inch brace height. So this is a harder bow to shoot because it's shorter axle, shorter brace height. So how does it compare to like the fastest bow, like something like the Full Throttle to shoot, which is a 370 feet per second bow to shoot with a 5.5 inch brace height. The Full Throttle is 33 inches long. It's a harder draw cycle, the Full Throttle, the hardest of all the draw cycles, and you can argue the Hoyt's harder, you could argue the Bowtech's harder to draw, but we're talking hard draw cycle. The Mathews is an easy draw cycle. This is an easy draw cycle by any imagination. It's easy to hold, it's easy to bow to shoot. This bow's easier to shoot than the Full Throttle, but it's harder to get the same results out of, and I think that's due to the axle size. I think it's due to the balance of the riser being generally top heavy. I find that's making a little bit of variation. I think you would shoot a lot better with the Triax with stabilizers to lower the center of the gravity of the bow, to put weight below the grip where you're holding the bow. So for me, the Triax at $14.50, it's aimed at the elite archer who wants a backpacking bow, a 3D bow. And when I say 3D, a tree shooting bow, where you're shooting 20-30 meters. This 18 meters, 30 meters. You're going to shoot Coke cans all day long with this bow at 30 meters. Now I think it's going to shoot a whole heck better with stabilizers on this bow. Not to improve the balance is pretty good, just the way the bow holds when you're aiming. I think stabilizers are going to help it out of sight. In fact, one of the guys who I sold a Triax to does shoot it with a full set of stabilizers for hunting. He shoots dead standard stabilizers, and I'm pretty sure he said he shoots better with it. But having shot this bow now, I think I would shoot a lot better with stabilizers with this bow. I think it'd be a marked improvement. So just to summarize, $14.50, the people who are going to buy this bow are going to be people who love Mathews. That's first off. You're going to have to love Mathews. That's not taking anything away from the brand. You're a Hoyt guy, you're a Mathews guy, you're a PSE guy, you're a Prime guy. People who are brand specific are going to go for this bow. You're not going to sell a lot of them in a shop because of one, the price point, $14.50. Most of your bows are going to be sold at $400 in your shop. The draw length adjustment is hard for shops to stock because this is a low selling item. The bow, Mathews produce a nice quality product. It's a well-rounded product. It's a quality product, and the Triax it fits the whole brand of the Mathews lineup. To me, I'd probably prefer it if you called it a Halon 28, a Halon 32, a Halon 30, a Halon 35 instead of a Halon X, because to me that makes life simple. for customers. I prefer it if the modules were the same for all of those bows. I prefer it if you had the same cams and the same modules on all those bows, because it would make it easier for the stores to stock those modules. Now, I would like the weight to be less in the bow. I'd like the bow to be physically lighter because it is aimed at the hunting market. But if you are in the market for a 28-inch bow to put in your backpack for shooting, it'd be a bow I would try out, because the draw cycle is very soft. It's a soft, easy to shoot bow. Mathews has got high quality. It's a high quality product. It's a product that in 10 years it'll still be a good bow. Now for me, with what I do, and I don't hunt much, okay, so if you go, oh Stephen, you don't hunt, but I have hunting bows and I have hunted before, but I tend to have a hunting bow and I do simulated hunting with it. For that type of bow I prefer 31 inches, so I'd be more inclined to go for the Halon 32. I would check the peep sight in the string to make sure I can fit a peep sight. I think I could. I was sort of checking it when I was doing that review. I think the serving is up high enough. So yeah, if you're in the market for a short axle bow, it'd definitely be one I'd try. The only other bow I can think of with the short axle is the Evolve 28, which came out in 2018 from PSE, obviously to take on Mathews with the Triax. But to me it feels very similar to the Halon 30s, the Halon 32s and Halon 35s. The short axle does increase the acute angle, and does increase the twitchiness in the left and right as you point left and right, and the torquing of the bow as far as the way it holds in your grip, than like the 35-inch bow. But overall it's a nice bow to shoot, so the people who shoot them, who like the way it shoots, I fully understand it. It is a lovely bow to shoot, so quiet, no recoil at all. So I think that's about it. So if you are making strings for the Halon, it is harder to make strings for the Halon, so charge extra. And if you're going to fit the strings, charge a little bit extra, because it is more work. You've got to drop the cams off the bow. Now with the Halon, with the Halon series, and the Triax is part of the Halon series, to tune it, if you've got cam lean left and right, then Mathews sell a top hat system which moves the cams left to right. Now I must say, I don't think I've sold any top hats, and I probably have sold one or two. I just don't recall it. Most people shoot this bow and they're happy with it straight out of the box. But they do have a top hat system, so you can move the position of the cam left to right, just through fitting spaces in there. It's a very simple system. I have no idea how much it costs. I mean, if I pulled a number out the air, $40, I don't know. Like I said, if I've sold any, I've sold one or two, and they may have been wholesale. I can't recall. But that's the way you tune a Mathews, using a top hat system to move those cams left and right. But I'd say most people do not do it. That would be a rare thing for anyone to do, and there's plenty of videos where the Mathews top shooters tune the bow using the top hat system to basically remove left and right tears in the arrows. But overall, nice product. It's very much in the Mathews line of bows. And I suppose I'm going to finish off to say what I'd like to see Mathews do, and that probably cost me everything. I would like to see Mathews step out of the box with bow development and build something completely different. And yes, they build a no-cam bow, but I'm talking, make it a nice light bow, build something fast, I don't know, build something different. I think they developed the no-cam, which was a innovation. These bows are nice, but I think in archery, to get people to buy new bows, you need to build something different, so people need to buy the new product. And I think Mathews need to build something new to get people to buy the new product. I don't care what the improvement is, they just need to step out. But saying that, it is a good thing that Mathews tend to build a stable product that stands the test of time. The Conquest 4 was on the market for what, 15 years? Is it still in production now 20 years later? Like, probably. And Mathews tends to produce a good quality bow and tends to stay in their stable for a number of years, and that's credit to the company. But as a result, it doesn't push sales. Like Bowtech produce a new bow every 2 years to encourage you to buy a new bow from them every 2 years. And I think that's what Mathews needs to do. It needs to have new products to encourage you, if you're a Mathews lover, or if you're not a Mathews lover, to encourage you to try their products and try something new. I think that's what's needed. The Triax to me is too much like the Halon 30s, Halon 32s, and Halon X. I almost feel like they need to step out and build something new and different, and I don't know, try something edgy. Anyway, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies. The more you shoot, the better you'll shoot, and it's all about the time you put into it. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.